Hey guys, today we are going to crush this tricky exponent problem without falling into the biggest trap in algebra. We'll look at power of a product, subtracting exponent, and the big division trap. So let's dive straight right into it and make it look super easy. So I will start by expanding each of these. So I'll expand this first and I would also expand this. So now for the first one, we have it to be, this is 2, okay, we have our bracket. Let's put this in a bracket first. So this is 2x to the power of 3 and we have 4 outside. So this is also the same thing as saying we have our 2 to the power of 4 multiplying x to the power of 3, and we also have a power of 4 outside. And of course, if you go ahead and simplify this, you would have 2 to the power of 4. And 2 to the power of 4 is the same thing as saying 2 multiply itself by in 4 places. That is, we'll have 2 times 2 to give us 4, 4 times 2 to give us 8, and 8 times 2 to give us 16. So if you do that for the first one, to the 2 to the power of 4, you should have 16. And then remember our exponent rule. So if we have this kind of thing, of course, the law of indices says that we should multiply. So what we'll do is we'll multiply the powers because of the parentheses we have here. So if we do that, we'll have 3 multiplying 4. And 3 times 4 should give us 12. So which means that the first one is the same thing as 16x to the power of 12. That's for the first one. So let's look at the next one. So for the next one, we also have 2x to the power of 3. But this time it is raised to the power of, or in the bracket we have it to be raised to the power of 2. So the next thing we would do is, just as we did here, we'll expand it. So this is the same thing as saying 2 to the power of 2. Because remember, the power is outside the parenthesis. So that's why it will also affect the coefficient of x there, which is 2. So coefficient of the x in this one is 2 there. So that's why we'll have it to be 2 to the power of 2. And then we'll have x to the power of 3. And also have 2, which is a power outside the bracket. So this is what we'll have. So we would also go ahead to simplify this. So if we simplify this, we'll have 2 to the power of 2 is the same thing as 2 times 2, which is 4. And then remember our law of indices. So we would multiply this. So which means we'll have x. And then if we multiply this, we would have 3 times 2, which will give us 6. So which means we'll have 16x to the power of 12 for the first one, and we'll have 4x to the power of 6 for the second one. So when looking at this, remember we are dividing both of them. So we can go ahead and divide the coefficients first. So let's divide the coefficient. So if we are to do that, we would have 16 divided by 4. Sorry, I have 16 divided by 4. And that should give us 4. So that would be for the coefficient. So 16 divided by 4 will give us 4. So now let's look at x there. So we have x to the power of 12 divided by x to the power of 6. And remember in our law of indices that if we have division, we can, since they have the same base, we can subtract the power. So that's what the law of indices states, that we can subtract the power since they have the same base. So that's what we'll do. So we have x to the power of 12 divided by x to the power of 6. So this means we'll have x and then our power, which is we have for the first one 12 and have minus 6 to the power of the second one. So if we do this, which means we should have x. 12 minus 6 should give us 6. So it means we'll have x to the power of 6. So which means if we are to combine both of these, remember we got 4 here. So if we are to combine this with this, remember it's multiplying in this case. It's multiplying. So we would have this to be 4x and then 6. So this is what we'll have as our final answer here. So remember here why we have it, why I did this is also the same thing as saying 16x to the power of 12 divided by 4x to the power of 6. So you can also do it this way. So if you do it this way, you would also have the same thing. You would then have 16 divided by 4, which will give you 4. And then you would also have, since we are dividing these two, we'll just subtract the power. So that's why we would also have x and then 6. 12 minus 6 would give us 6. So this is what we will get for this. So I hope you understand it now. So if there's any question on this, do well to drop a message in the comment section. And don't forget to like, comment, and share. I will see you in the next video.